a t-shirt. What I didn't do, because it really would have been too much, was wear my Birkenstocks. I love those. But I am wearing a pin, which a friend gave me, which says, commit sociology. Maybe here we could say commit political science. That's kind of an inside joke for those of you who've been watching federal politics a lot. Yes, I want to talk a little bit about the campaign. I was responsible for the Ontario election campaign. As Julien pointed out, that campaign was kind of a practice run for 2015. We really didn't have much of an expectation about having a lot of influence on proportional representation in the Ontario election. And as it turned out, with the Liberals getting a crushing majority with 38% of the vote, it's going to be rather difficult to get them to speak for proportional representation now that they're elected. But federally, the story is a little bit different. And I think there's a lot to get excited about. I'm not saying it's going to be a walk in the park, but I think it augurs better than any other federal campaign in recent memory. First of all, a lot of people are very unhappy about the current political situation. We have a political situation where we have a majority government at the... You really want to get talk closer to the mic? I don't like the echo that it does. Like this. Okay. All right, thank you. A lot of people are quite unhappy about the situation we've been in over the last 4.5 years, where we face a majority government, which is 100% of the power, that got elected with only 38% of the vote. Now, that's only half of the story. There's another half of the story that another part of the story that a lot of people don't know, and that's that if you took into account people's second votes, their second preferences, based on an Echoes poll that was done in 2011, the Conservative Party still wouldn't have had a majority. They would have had 44%. There was only one party that if you took second votes into account, they would have had a majority support. Any idea what party that would have been? That's a trick question. Don't answer the green. No, that wouldn't be it. It was the NDP. Isn't that interesting? The NDP, 54%. If you added up the first preferences and the second preferences, the NDP is the only party that would have had a majority. So we have a government in power with 100% of the vote that 56% of the Canadian population is not even their second preference. So there's a lot of anger there, and we can tap into that, I think, in order to campaign for proportional representation. Two other factors. Well, one other factor, but it's two parties. The NDP and the Green Party have both come out categorically in favor of proportional representation. The Liberals have not, but the Liberals at the very least declared at their February 2013 convention in Montreal that they committed to holding public consultations on the nature of our democracy, including consideration of proportional representation. We have to hold them to that. The Conservatives, of course, that's another story. But there is potential with the three parties. Within the Conservative Party, there's probably more division than meets the eye. I'd like to point out that Stephen Harper himself wrote in favor of proportional representation when he was still in the opposition. And I think within the party, there's a lot of dissatisfaction. Perhaps Brett Rafterer, who will be speaking to us, may have more to say about that than I happen to know. But imagine if you were a red Tory. How comfortable would you be in the Conservative Party? Might you imagine a day where, with proportional representation, you wouldn't have to have the Reform and the Red Tories all in one party? They could split like they used to and still have their share of power. So maybe there's people that we can talk to in the Conservative Party as well. I do believe momentum is building. That's a little bit harder to gauge, but I was... Sorry, it looks like people can't hear me. I think the sound system here is just not what it needs to be. I think I'll just skip to the fact that I think that Fair Vote Canada is in probably better shape than it's ever been in the past. Look at the turnout here tonight. It's excellent. When I was campaigning on the Ontario election, I went to all candidates' debates. I was finding just about everybody knew who Fair Vote Canada was. It was really amazing. Of course, that's any of these people who actually come out to the debates, but it was astounding how many people knew what the issues were. And I think we have a much stronger public education base than we've ever had before. Now, there are some challenges. I can think of two important ones. One has to do with Fair Vote Canada itself. It remains a relatively small organization. It has a lot of dedicated volunteers, that's to be sure. It has a very limited funding base. You know, I think people with deep pockets the people we really like to tap for a lot of money, they tend to be a little comfortable with the status quo. You know, they tend to be liberal or conservative, and they kind of think, well, this system kind of works well for us. And then when it comes to getting money from large numbers of people, it seems that other organizations have a bit of an advantage over Fairboard Canada. I think of Lead Now, for example, it's got something like 300,000 members. And it's because they cover such a wide range of issues that they seem to be more successful. So that's something we're going to have to work really hard at. But in the meantime, we need to tap into our voters, which is our real strength. Secondly, in terms of challenges, I believe the fact that Liberals are riding so well in the polls right now is actually a real challenge. The best thing that could happen for proportional representation would be a minority government. I think we have a really, really good shot. If we end up with a majority Liberal government, it may well be same old, same old. You win the election, you're not interested in reform. So yes, there's a challenge and we need to be realistic about that, but there is an opportunity and we need to fight to make the best of that opportunity. Now, what will it look like? This is not what I'm supposed to be talking about. People are already going to start telling me to speed it. There are a lot of things that we can be doing, and I'd like to give you an idea when you can feed in and what you can be doing. But before I even start, if any of you have not yet picked up the 2-pager that was distributed at the door, please get a hold of that. That is your sort of mini Bible. It gives you links to everything you need to know. It gives you ideas of some of the activities are that you could be involved in. Immediately, one of the things we're doing is fundraising. We've had an Indiegogo campaign. We will no doubt have another before very long. We have a Declaration of Voters' Rights. We're trying to get 100,000 signatures for the Declaration of Voters' Rights. We've currently got about 38,000. We've got a long way to go, and we should be collecting signatures now. That is something that every volunteer can be doing. Go out and get 5 or 6 or 10 signatures. If you're a member of a union, if you're a member of another organization, work with that organization to tap into that membership to sign the Declaration of Voters' Rights. The link is on the 2-pager. You can get the link. If you haven't signed it, sign it yourselves right now. Distribute the 2-pager to your friends. Get them to read it. Talk to them about it. Join if you haven't joined. Renew your membership if you haven't done so. Julien also mentioned on November 25th what we call proportional representation event. There's a poster going about. If you haven't got it, pick a copy up at the door. It's going to be really interesting. Do come, but bring a friend who doesn't know much about proportional representation. The event will pitch at them, and they will find it interesting, I guarantee it. So put it in your calendars. Okay, the rest of it will come when we get into the final stretch. We're going to have a science campaign. We're going to make sure that people are talking to all of the candidates. We're going to be canvassing the candidates to find out where they stand and sharing that information with voters. And we're going to participate in all candidates' debates to make sure that at all candidates' debate, a question is raised about proportional representation. We put their feet to the fire, particularly the Liberals. We're not going to vote Liberal unless they get proportional representation. What's the matter?
Your hand is on the switch.
You think it's off? No, it's on.
No, your hand is on.
Causing extra stress.
Okay, so last point. How do you link up, join, sign the declaration, and leave your email? People who sign the declaration and give their email and they check the little box will be kept abreast of how the campaign evolves. So if you want to be involved, that's what you have to do. And thirdly, email Julien Lavergne. He will put you on the volunteer list for the Ottawa region. And his email address is in the 2-pager, so there's no excuse. And you can also join us at executive committee meetings anytime you want. It's open. Thanks very much.